the nature or the existence or the creator and your guru are seeing how to make it as easy as possible, as simple as possible, as quick as possible. I want you to understand how difficult the spiritual process is going to be for you is determined by you, not by nature and not by your guru. Because if you take time, it's not a question of your life going waste, it's a question of my life going waste. If you don't make it, it's not a question of you failing, it's a question of me failing. You see, I don't like to lose. You can see that. I don't like to be on the losing side, you can see that. You must see how I drive on the street, I don't like to be on the losing side. If you're here as a woman, it's very simple. But you're so many other things. Foreign banks are difficult to handle because there are hidden clauses. In every agreement we sign, there's a hidden clause, it printed in microprint, that it takes a lifetime to read them. So most people sign them without reading them. So wipe out all the hidden clauses. Just be here as a woman, very simple. If you're here just as a man or just as a woman, that's it, it takes. It doesn't take all this talking and nonsense and rubbish. If I just do this, you should just be there. So, devotion is another dimension of intelligence, which unfortunately today's world has lost out on. Now that little boy who's playing violin, he's just 16 years of age. He's not very far between the genius… he's not very far behind the genius of his father. He's pretty right there. It's going to take very little time for the boy to catch up. That has come not because of training, that's come because of simple devotion. You see how he sits? See how he sits next to his father with great amount of love and devotion. You look at his eyes, he looks at his father with that kind of love and devotion. In that, learning happens in a completely different way. There was a fabulous saint. In Andhra Pradesh, there is no home in Andhra Pradesh who will not have at least a little book about this saint. His name was Vemanna. His name was something else, they called him Veman. So his name is Vemanna. So he was with his guru. And this boy is little dim. He's a dim companion. Such a simpleton, can't get anything straight. I have a lot of them like that. And they're doing great. They can pull off anything. It is the intelligence one, it's people who think they are intellectually smart who are getting all tangled up in Isha. Simpletons are doing great. Somebody else may think he's nothing, but just see the result he's creating, it's fantastic. So, this is a simple time. Everybody, every butt of everybody's jokes. One day, but the guru takes kindly to this boy because he's not smart like others. So one day guru has an important function or an event to go to, so he goes to the river for bath. And his clothes folded. He tells the boy, you hold the clothes in your hand, stand here, don't keep it down. Because the ground is wet and it'll get soiled, don't keep it down. Just hold it, that's all. So the guru went in to take his ritual dip and wash himself. And when he came out, the boy had kept it down. The clothes were soiled. And he kept it down because when the Guru looked like this, he thought he needs something and he kept it down and ran to the Guru. He's simple, one thing at a time. He cannot handle two things at a time. Because these are two things, clothes and Guru. Two is complicated. And the Guru looked at this. Now he has to go somewhere, his clothes are soiled, and he told him repeatedly, don't keep it down, don't keep it down, and he keeps it down. So he gave him a little chalk and he told him, you fool, there's nothing else you can do. Sit here and write just Rama, Rama, Rama on this rock, nothing else. You can't do anything better. Just do this. Hope grace will descend on you. Just sit here and write Rama, 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 just over and over again on the same place. The boy felt so ashamed, so pained, because he let down his Guru. He told him so many times, but somehow he cannot get it. So he started writing. The Guru left in a rush. After the whole day, some event, he came back in the evening and first thing is he asked for this boy, where is he? Because he was feeling bad for the harshness with which he spoke to him. He was nowhere to be seen. Oh, then I told him to write Rama and we need not give the next instruction, maybe he's still there. And he went. The boy was still writing Rama. The chalk had worn out a long time ago. His forefinger and thumb had worn out right up till here, and he was still writing Rama, 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 Rama. The Guru just took him and embraced him. And this boy, I don't know how many, somebody who's knowledgeable about this should say, he wrote hundreds of fabulous poems, which is even today, after a few hundred years, even today there is no Telugu-speaking home where there will be no book on Vemana's poems. Almost every home will have it. Anybody who can read and write, in their home there will be, and just about everybody is conversant with these poems. Brilliant poetry. He just poured out of his devotion. So that's what devotion can do, because devotion is another dimension of intelligence. Devotion is the intelligence. You understand there's a bigger intelligence and you have learned to keep your little intellect aside. That is devotion. Devotion does not mean every day doing puja, doing this, doing that. Devotion simply means your involvement with life is so absolute that even you don't matter anymore. Your involvement with what you have taken up is so absolute that who you are does not matter, then you're a devotee. Devotion means you're devoid of yourself, that's devotion. The problem right now is human intellect. Human intellect, of all the gadgets that you have, human mind is the most sophisticated gadget on this planet. Do you agree with me? Every other gadget has come out of this. But we are busy looking into the iPhone, completely missing the eye. Right now, for too many human beings, this mind is not a miracle that it actually is. For so many human beings, this mind has become a misery manufacturing machine. All the misery, human misery on this planet, where is it manufactured? Madras? No, in your mind, isn't it? What should have been the greatest miracle, unfortunately has become a source of misery for human beings. Why is this so? There are two dimensions to your intelligence. One is perception, one is the penetration of your intelligence, another is the memory aspect of it. Because of the kind of education systems that you're suffering right now, which is 100% memory-based, all you have to do is memorize something, vomit it somewhere. Your idea of being intelligent right now has become purely memory-based. Today evening at the tea party, you don't have to know anything. You just have to surf the internet, pick up some facts about that 64, T64 galaxy that nobody knows about. You get some information and throw it around. People think you're smart. Because our whole idea of intelligence has become memory, unfortunately. Once you're dipping your hand into memory, your intelligence becomes very cyclical. Because it's recycling the past in so many different ways, it looks smart for somebody who doesn't know that, otherwise it's just nonsense. Today we know a goddamn chip can record more than your brain can record. It is not intelligence. Memory is just a resource, it is not an intelligence. The nature of the intelligence and the purpose of human intellect is that it should be able to penetrate. But it has got such a huge backlog, it's identified with the memory in such a bad way, it has lost its penetration. It is like you have a knife. Intellect is like a knife, it can cut through anything. But now you have a knife where the apple is sticking. Now whatever you try to cut, it's not going to cut anything because there's a big apple sticking here. This is what has happened, a huge bank of memory is sticking to it and it's lost its penetration. This is a tremendous loss that's happened to humanity because of the nature of education systems that we have crafted. So the fundamental process of spiritual process is to sharpen this intellect in such a way that if you sit here, your memory does not influence you. Your intelligence is simply here. It sees everything just the way it is. If this doesn't happen to you, your intellect will become the source of your suffering. You will see educated people are definitely suffering more than the uneducated on this planet, isn't it so? They're also causing much more suffering. The planet is suffering mainly because of educated people, not because of uneducated people. Yes or no? The very life of the planet is being threatened by the educated, not by the uneducated, because it is a completely memory-based education. It is not intelligence-based education. We need to shift this. If the education systems are not going to shift it, as individual people you must shift, especially if you want to be an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur means you must create an opportunity where there isn't one. That is enterprise, isn't it? Where should you start? I think we've been repeatedly saying, you can only start from where you are. You cannot start somewhere else. You can't start it, it's already started. Your longing to grow has started, isn't it? Maybe you're thinking of more money, but that's only your misunderstanding. But essentially, you want to be something more. That's a spiritual process. Misguided, but a spiritual process. You want to become powerful, you want to become rich, you want to become knowledgeable, you want to be loved, you want to have pleasure, all these are spiritual processes going in wrong directions, that's all. Unconscious conducting of… you're unconsciously conducting a spiritual process. If you conduct anything unconsciously, you may flounder every step, maybe off the mark, isn't it? If you walk… now if I tell you, drive home with your eyes closed, before you get out of the parking lot, you'll be in quite a bit of mess, isn't it? So now, don't try to start anywhere, just become more and more conscious. As you become more conscious, it will naturally find its way. To be conscious, to be aware, what it means. If you try to be aware, you cannot be aware. People are always mistaking mental alertness for awareness. Mental alertness will enhance your ability to survive better. You can survive better with mental alertness. But that is not awareness. Awareness means, right now are you here, right now? Do you know that you're here? That's awareness. You're aware, that's why you know that you're here. otherwise you would not know. Suppose you do not know that you're here, isn't it? If somebody… you know. So someone is dead, poke, no awareness. Someone is asleep, poke, immediately there. Now you don't have to be poked, still you are there. So what I'm saying is, your awareness anyway is coming in different stages. Have you noticed at different times of the day you're in different levels of awareness? So it can be heightened. What is needed for survival naturally happens. Even when it comes to survival mode, not every individual is alert to the same extent. Now you're driving on the street, not everybody is alert to the same extent. It's a survival process, driving. But not everybody is alert to the same extent. So even in the survival mode, not everybody is alert to the same extent, and that can be heightened. If you heighten this awareness continuously, a point will come where it's no more about survival. Something that is not needed for your survival will also come into your awareness. When that comes into your awareness, that which is not needed for your survival is bound to be a dimension beyond the physical. So when that comes into your living experience of life, you're on. Very simple. Those 7 days, what we were doing with you is slowly wind you up, wind you up, wind you up in such a way that you become more and more aware. Suddenly after 5-6 days, you are like… After that, if you kept up your practice, gradually it'll move up every day. Otherwise, slowly you became dim once again. Have you noticed this? You steadily keep up your practice, how your awareness is, you give it up and slowly, voltage is going down. If voltage goes down, the light becomes dim. Light becomes dim, you see very few things. The voltage is really high, light becomes really bright and you see everything. This is awareness. So you don't work on your awareness or your consciousness or your spiritual growth, you just work upon your voltage. You keep your energies up as much as possible, and when energies are up, you tend to get entangled with something. You make sure you don't get entangled with anything. See, an adolescent is far more energetic than other people, but he's always getting into trouble because he has the energy, but he doesn't have the stability. So to have the energy and to maintain the stability, if you do these two things if you do, the rest will happen by itself, nothing to do. Simply sit and enjoy. Whatever you think and talk about is not spirituality. It's not even good literature. Really, believe me, there's better literature in the world than spiritual books. If 100 books that you read did not create enough thirst in you to do something about it, there is nothing spiritual about these books. If it created a longing within you that you couldn't help doing something about it, then that book is okay. Even that book is not spiritual, at least it's inspirational. It inspired you enough to take a step, and 1,000,000 words that you read are of no consequence. If you take one little step, it's worth all the scriptures on the planet. So, before it's too late, take at least one small step. Now that you're here, at least start one 12-minute Isha Kriya. And I have specially designed this for people like you. It has got words in the meditation, because those who live on words, those who feed upon words, without words they cannot live, you know. There are enough beautiful things in this planet and in this existence. If you paid enough attention, you would become wordless. But a whole lot of people thrive on words because they have never paid enough attention to anything.
So if you pay enough attention, you will become wordless. For days on end, as a growing boy, I never said a word because what's there to say? You can't drink in the world around you, it's too much. These two eyes and these five senses are not enough to grasp. It hardly gives you any sense. So when you don't pay attention to life, you will get hugely enamored by words. And I'm sure you said Buddhism and also you're repeating what Gautama said or whatever they printed in his name. Yes, because if I speak something today, by tomorrow morning it becomes 100 different versions. If Gautama spoke, poor man, 2500 years ago, what all they should have said in his name. They've said too many things which are not his words. And that is why it becomes an ism. It has become an ism means, that means it has nothing to do with the Buddha. Buddhism means all the people around created a whole lot of things. Buddha is a different thing. Buddhism is another thing. So with everything else. So, don't feed on those isms. Just start one simple process with words, just for you. Please do it.
Once you walk the spiritual path, this question and this struggle of how much of spiritual process should I do and how much of whatever is called as life I should do. And for most people the struggle is when they're involved in their day-to-day materialistic functions of life, they will long for the spiritual process. If you give them a spiritual process, they will long to go back to their materialistic way of life. So how much of what or how should I do these two things? You should do your materialistic life. When we say materialistic, that which concerns and satisfies one's physical body and one's mind is materialistic life. It's not right to divide this, but anyway, invariably people divide it. So that which satisfies your body and your mind, how much of it you should do or how you should do means you must do it like you are going to live forever. How much or how I should do my spiritual process, you must do it like today is your last day. Which way is it? Now, on a certain day, a hunter caught a little bird, tiny little bird, and he was about to take its life. Then the little bird said, "You have caught and eaten many far bigger animals in your life, but it has not satisfied your hunger. Me, a little bird, this much I am. What can I do for you? So why kill me? If you allow me to live, I'll give you 3 invaluable teachings with which your life will be phenomenally rich. One teaching I will give you when I'm still in your hand. The second teaching I will give you when I sit upon the roof of your house. The third teaching I will give you when I sit on top of the tree." Then the hunter thought about it, looked at this little bird It doesn't even work as an appetizer, too small. So he said, okay, give me the teaching. The first teaching that the bird gave is, does not matter who, whatever pronouncements they make, don't ever believe it. Took off from his hand, went and sat on top of the roof. And then he said, you fool, you let me go. Do you know who I am? Within my belly, I have a diamond which weighs 5 ounces. Then the man started wailing about his misfortune. Oh, such a huge diamond, I let it go. What a fool I am. Then the bird said, you are definitely a fool. I already told you, never believe any pronouncements made by anybody, whoever they may be. See, I weigh just 2 ounces. How can I have a diamond 5 ounces in my belly, you fool? So the second teaching is, never look back and regret at anything that is past. And then flew and went and sat on top of the bird. The men started screaming and wailing, no, I missed the diamond, now you're telling me not to regret, you fooled me. And the bird went and sat there and waited. Then he recovered, okay, never regret for what has happened. Okay, tell me, what's the third teaching? The bird said, anyway, you did not listen to the first 2. What is the use of the third? Never waste your energies and wisdom upon those who don't listen. That's the third teaching, and flew away. Now, whatever I say, it's not going to work. Now, your materialistic life, you must live it as if you're going to die today. Your spiritual life, you must do it that you are eternal, not the other way around.